chairs aren't being used right now.
I made a new friend recently. His name is Jeff. Jeff just turned 15 the other day. Jeff seems to think he's homosexual. When we first met, we almost had sex. That would have been illegal. God forbid. Jeff's a great person for me to just talk to and relax. Some of the stories he tells me, though, make me want to burn people with long cigarettes while they sleep, leaving grave warnings smoldering in their skin. A friend of Jeff's, Casey, seems to think he's homosexual too. He's also 15. His parents found out somehow and locked him up in his room, took away his phone, won't let him talk to any of his friends until they determine which ones seem to think they're homosexual as well. If I knew where they lived, I might just go personally inject explosives into their Rice Krispies. An acquaintance of Jeff's, Andrew, also 15, is being punished by God for something he did. He talks with his priest and his parents so he can get support to resist the temptations God has provided him with. Around Christmas time, my senior year at Maricosta High School, I was 17, I was being harassed daily at school, coming home to death threats on both my own and my parents' phone answering machines. I was going to take a bat to school and whack brains all over surfer t-shirts. Instead, I didn't go to school. I spent time dyeing my hair. I got kicked out of school. I got kicked out of my house. I got a job as a substitute teacher at a Montessori school where I was afraid the publicity, which was quite extensive at that point, of the fact that I seemed to think I was homosexual would get to someone at the school and I would unceremoniously lose my job. It's too bad 15-year-olds are so legally dependent on other people. They can't vote, they can't drive, they can't have sex with anyone over 18. They can't rent their own apartment. They have to go to school. Around 15 seems to me to be the time when young suburban Americans begin to form their idea of how the world is going to treat them and how they are going to respond. I responded by telling everyone to fuck the hell off, to go ahead and play games with me because, as they say, that's just the way it is. I accepted all of the repercussions and tried to fight the shame and reprobation. I hope they, and they know who they are, all feel like skunks for how they treated me. There are some people from high school whose brains I still would love to smear on the pavement. The principal, for example. But I keep running into them one by one, and they often act as if nothing ever happened. Well, something did happen, and that has to be addressed. Every fucker who doled out this bullshit, every fucker who stood around passively and watched, they all have to pay me back with humility and homage for my courage. Then, and only then, may I acknowledge them by spitting in their faces. Now, I am supposed to argue with myself that my anger is horribly misdirected. After all, it is not the fault of the individual, but of the society in which the individual was created. But where was I created? Did I come from some distant galaxy or a foreign planet? I suppose it's possible, but I don't think so. I grew up right here in Manhattan Beach. I spent my youth howling around with all the guys who later yelled, "Fucking faggot!" whenever I entered the room. I probably visited with the adults who later anonymously called me on the phone to offer such gems as, "Is this Brian Gross, president of Maricosta High School? I'm going to come over there and blow your fucking head off, you fucking faggot! What are you going to do tonight? Go find a big cock to suck on?" Of course, I know I'm not going to blow up anyone's dental work or burn messages in their skin. Or even do anything to consciously hurt anyone. I never have. I don't think I ever will. I just don't think it's in my nature. Sometimes I wish it were, because I have been hurt so many times by unfeeling, uncourageous, stupid people, and I seem to only respond with incredibly self-conscious words and art, which is so often dismissed with one word: weird. I wonder how they would feel if I held a mirror up to them at the moment they inflict me with their ignorant hate. How would they find the look on their faces? Funny how the look of hate resembles so much the look of pain, isn't it? I don't want to hear new stories of new oppression like the ones Jeff tells me. So maybe I should just fuck him and cut his anus out of my life like a bad apple core. When I look around my life, I only see things getting better and better. My parents are slowly coming along. After 7 years, massive amounts of vibrant and vigorous anger on my part, years of complete separation, and just recently open displays of tears and pain. I know we're coming along. I can sit in front of my father and cry about how horrible it is to have all these things happen to me, and to know that I cannot turn to my family for any support because they will just insult me further. My dad, with a tentative hand, reached out to touch me and acknowledged it was true. He wouldn't have been able to give me any support, and though he has come a long way and his attitudes have changed markedly, he still says he may not be the one for me to depend on. Now, all my friends are either gay or rigorously versed in the particulars of my life. No one gets away with flinching when I talk about fucking, getting fucked, sucking, getting sucked with a boyfriend, or a one-night trick whose name I don't even know and with whom I had hot, sweaty, loud sex in the reclined seat of my car at 3 o'clock in the morning in a dark alley somewhere deep in the heart of my misery, my joy, my excitement, my confusion, my boredom, my exaltation, my life. I don't care what they think. If they think that I'm miserable, if they think that I'm misguided, if they pity me, then fuck them. They can pity their own goddamn wretched selves for their inability to relate to me because they just can't seem to accept that I seem to think I'm homosexual. They're really missing out. Because I'm such a glorious person, capable of so much love, needing, in fact, to love, needing to love so dearly, in fact, that I have risked my life over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, simply for the chance to allow for the possibility of what I seem to think is love. And yes, my idea of love may be an illusion, you fuckers, but I am entitled to my illusions just as you are entitled to yours. Jeff's parents don't know what he seems to think he is. Chances are, if they found out, he would be kicked out of the house or dealt with severely. I don't know what to tell him. At the rate he's going, they're bound to find out sometime soon. Just like if you get fucked often enough, a condom's bound to break somewhere along the way. And depending on who you're with, when, and why, they may notice and tell you. They may not. Or it may just happen to break at that certain moment when an unpredictable ejaculation suddenly occurs.
Look, over here, blue light special.
almost all of the styles of these yellow shirts are insufferable. And so it's only so often that I see how good in yellow I can be. And so it's only so often that I see how good in yellow I can be. Ooh la 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 la. I look so good in yellow. Ooh la 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 la. Perhaps I should go out and expressly buy some yellow shirts whose styles are so charming that they really hurt. 'Cause I hardly know anyone who wears yellow shirts, and those that do don't look like they should, because their shirts on me would look 3 times as good. La 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 la. I look so good in yellow. La 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 la. I look so good in yellow. La 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 la. And I don't mean to be so vain, but you know, so much of life gets ripped away from you that you got to at least try to get something back again. And I don't mean to be so vain, but you know, so much of life gets ripped away from you that you got to at least try to get some back again. And I don't mean to be so vain, but you know, so much of life gets ripped away from you that you got to at least try to get some back again. Oh, la 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 la. I look so good in yellow. La 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 la. I look so good in yellow. You la 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 la. Get something back. I look so good in yellow. You got la 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 la. Get something back. I look so good in yellow. La 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 la. I look so good in yellow. This is Gary Corona. This is